paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, that's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes.
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
Were you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody.
Start
Anytime,
the podcast.
right? Yeah, let's start. I'm ready.
Jason, this is a solemn week. How dare you try to joke during this solemn week?
It is the most solemn week. Corbin, just to start the podcast. We've been waiting
Hey,
for
everybody.
like an hour.
I know, man.
Just been sitting here on Discord.
Dude, I'm
just
ready
waiting to get
anytime.
started.
Anytime.
JJ can clip a bunch of these. A bunch of the... what should we call them? Corbin's false starts?
Corbin
Corbin's,
fails to get the podcast started in a timely manner. That's what it should be called. Corbin can't get the podcast started. All right.
That's correct. That is.
No, it's called Corbin can't get it going. That's
Yeah,
what it's called.
That's good.
I think Corbin can't start the podcast is probably better. And
Listen,
then JJ can just make a
this isn't
super
a great
cut.
bit, okay?
No, because
No,
Corbin
it's not a
can't get
good
it
bit.
going.
But it's
Corbin
not a
can't
good
get
bit.
it going implies that he's a
Yeah,
failure
yeah,
as a
yeah.
husband.
But I got a kid and I got another. Anyway, it is a good bit.
She
It's
has
not
a
a good
kid.
bit when you do it every week.
I was
But
gonna
if
say,
you,
have a little Blarney Stone is what you have.
if JJ cuts all of them together and then just slowly zooms in on my face as I lose it every time. But not today. I slept forever today. I
Yeah,
feel
we're good.
So,
We're good. Okay, podcast.
hey everybody,
No more
welcome
bits.
back to
Just the podcast.
No Bits. Around here, we call them Corbits
Corbin's.
instead of.
Is that what you pay your people who sort? It's like
Yes.
redeemable for the cards
Yes.
you just sorted?
That is literally what it is. Yes. We used to call it Corbin credit, but then someone came up with Corbits, and it's way better. Now, don't you regret not letting me start the podcast?
No.
No.
This can be just like a 5-minute intro.
This can go on forever.
Yeah. This could just be a real slow cold open because we don't have a ton to talk about this week. So like,
Half of the people have turned it off already.
good. Listen, if you're still listening,
No.
good.
No,
You
this
are
is
being
not.
rewarded
No.
with the actual
No.
podcast. No, listen. If you are still listening, congratulations, you did it. You got through the
Yes.
bit. You got through the Corbin can't get the podcast started bit, and now you're rewarded with an episode of your favorite podcaster's
Yes,
favorite
this-
podcast. Welcome to Brainstorm Brewery. That's how you start a podcast, mother. You just say,
Yes.
welcome to Brainstorm Brewery.
So
I guess we're into a podcast then.
This is
Let's
a
go.
very, I mean, people who have been listening for a while know that I've been talking a lot about game design because I'm interested in it, not as a career, just as like a theoretical hobby thing. And one of my favorite moments in game design is in the original Dark Souls. When you go down this tunnel and you go down this catacomb thing, and there's a fake wall. You go past the fake wall and you find a treasure chest. And it's like a visible wall. You like roll into it for no reason. You're like, aha! I get the treasure chest, and then you
And then the
leave.
treasure chest kills you.
No. This is not one of the mimics. But if you roll again behind another fake wall beyond that, there's a better treasure chest. So you're rewarded for thinking creatively and putting up with the bullshit of the developers. And we're the developers, and we bullshitted you. And this is the second.
You have
treasure
rolled
chest.
through 7 fake walls.
Yes, the
at this point.
remainder of the podcast is your treasure chest.
You may have
were
rolled into
rewarded
them.
with a small modicum of very obvious finance info sprinkled with
You rolled through all the walls, and I think I ran headfirst into them. And with that, we are into the
he
podcast.
bashed those walls to core bits.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. We are going to talk about what Strixhaven is going to do to prices that it hasn't already. We've got some emails, but first, we want to talk about Time Spiral Remastered. And I will note that CommandersHerald.com, website Jason and I both work with, had its first preview card this week with Alessia, with Charlotte Sable of the Commander Advisory Group, previewing that. That was really neat.
Charlotte Sable of Commander's Herald.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Well, it was really cool. You should go check it out.
Dabble with the Commander Advisory Group and being an L3, but mostly of Commander's
Herald. Yes, that is
and
right.
the Judge blog she wrote for like 10 years, but mostly the 2 articles on Commander's Herald. One of which was a preview card of a card that already existed.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about
all the Time Spiral Remastered cards, previews of cards that already existed.
That's true, and this one was hers. Charlotte's very, I think, renowned in the community for her Alesha deck, so she was the obvious choice. And we're very lucky to have her on staff, and the article's great. Go read it at commandersherald.com. That's Herald, Herald. If you type in Herald like Harold Ramis, you're going to... I'm not guaranteeing you won't get to a website. Maybe Commander's Herald is like, I don't know. It sounds like a weird. Nobody normal is named Harold, so you're gonna go somewhere weird. Herald, definitely. Go.
Well, think about it this way.
All of our articles.
Harold Ramis wrote a script in which he could play any character he wanted and be named anything he wanted, and he chose Egon. Yeah. So make of that what you will. Just saying.
I mean, on the subject of nobody being normal named Harold, I once was top 500 in the North America Soul Calibur 4 ranked servers. Now, you're wondering where are you going?
Button-mashing Ivy mains bragging about the top 500 in the Northeast?
North America. North America.
Okay. Out of what?
Top 500
players?
NA, baby. What's the deal? Where are we going?
How far down the ranking went. It went to... But I was in the top 500. I know that.
I was in the top 250. That's not true.
But I was very good at the game, and my brother was very good at the character creation of the game. So Soul Calibur has a very dynamic and detailed character creation little bit where you can just add a lot of minute details. And my brother made this horrendous monstrosity with a giant eagle on its head, and like just it was very, very large and wearing like basically nothing except a pink thong. And the joke weapon for Ivy is just a giant sausage that links into different pieces.
I know nothing about this game.
We named that character Harold. Now, I used that character on the Xbox Live ranked ladder of Soul Calibur 4, and there were a lot of people who had their Kinect enabled, which is the motion sensor thing for the Xbox 360, and a lot of people unknowingly had their microphones enabled when I played this character against them. Now, I would destroy them with the Ivy combat style and this weird pink monstrosity named Harold that I do not unfortunately have a picture of to give to JJ, but you can imagine the distressed and confused noises that people would make on that Soul Calibur ladder as they wondered what sort of evil 15-year-old idiot would make such a weird character and just start thrashing people online.
I feel bad for the 4 listeners who are named Harold.
You think out of... Okay, so we have a number, N. That's Brainstorm Brewery listeners on a good day. So, N minus Y. Y is the number of people who turned it off during all of our bits. Y sub 1 was the first time I derailed the intro. Y sub 2, Y sub 3. Okay, so we have N minus all the sum of all the Ys minus all the people who turn it off because of this bit. And you think that in that number, N minus Y, there are 4 Heralds. You think there are 4 Heralds?
I'm optimistic, man. I'm always looking
Group
on the
X,
bright
which
side.
is N minus Y. You know what? Probably. Because even all the people that drop, we still are broadcasting to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of listeners, and we really appreciate all hundreds of thousands of you for listening. And I'm not saying that we appreciate our patrons more, but like, okay, of course we do. The people N minus Y minus Z. And Z is the people who go to patreon.com/BSB and give us as little as $1 a month, which is 20 or 25 cents an episode. Those people have access to the Discord where they'll be like, just do a normal podcast. Like the bits. Why the bits? Look, man, this isn't a dick around podcast. I come to you for serious finance advice, and you're talking about Soul Calibur and sausages. Man, I don't know what the hell's going on, but what I do know is I give you $1 an episode, just 20 or 25 cents an episode, which is $1 a month, which is how I have access to this Discord server, so I can talk to you directly. Please stop with the bits. And we're like, look, Harold, I know why you're upset. And the bits are not going to stop. The Jason bits, the DJ bits, and the core bits. They're all going to keep on keeping on. So thank you for being a patron. Thank you for going to patreon.com/BSB. Thank you for going to youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery and clicking on the all the various icons. You can click on a lot of stuff, but like only some of the things help us. Click on the stuff that helps us. Thank you. Thank you for doing all that. Thanks for being a buddy. And thank you for being in group X, which is N-Y, right?
And if you...
It's a good group to be in. Thank you.
You are a chemist, so I trust your math.
I was going to say, if you think that there is nothing to be gleaned from this podcast that is finance related, that equation was like the Da Vinci Code of MTG finance.
You
can plug out that equation that Jason just gave you and put it into any of your MTG finance math related things, and it will work.
That's right.
I'm going to be vague about that, but it'll work.
It'll work. Yep. It'll definitely have a result anyway. But let's talk about Time Spiral Remastered. So the set will release, I believe, here in a couple weeks. It is Time Spiral Remastered, which is an interesting way to sell us cards we've already bought. But I have to say, looking over the previews and seeing them in the old borders, as someone who did not play when the old border was a thing, these look really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's Magic's love letter to boomers. Like, every booster pack comes with a free walker and, like, a life alert thing. Like, it's...
yeah, that's pretty much true. But it's going to be so cool for the legacy cards here, right? Like, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Young Pyromancer, that sort of thing, right? Even, your Past in Flames. These are going to be really, really neat in those old formats. And there's also then, of course, the bonus sheet. And if you're somebody who wasn't playing when Time Spiral first released, like me, do one of you want to go ahead and touch on real quick what the bonus sheet is and what it means?
Do you remember the first Time Spiral block? Maybe you don't. You may have seen the purple expansion symbol on Time Spiral cards, and you're like, why is Moorish Cavalry got a purple symbol? Well, the quote-unquote bonus sheet back then was a sheet of time-shifted cards. They were cards that were from older sets that they printed in Time Spiral to give them second life to spice up the limited formats. Like, hey, you got War Barge and Merfolk Assassin now, just like back when you were playing in 1994. We did it. There was one purple card per pack. There were foils of those purple cards. And since they were one per pack, stores like to say, oh, they're rare. So anytime you bought a card in 2007 and it's like, get one rare for every $10 you spend. Oh boy, here comes a swamp mosquito with that purple hourglass looking at you like, here's your rare, you dumb idiot. Here's your Moorish Cavalry, because it's one per pack, just like a rare. Are there 3 purple cards per pack or 11? There are not. So they are not common or uncommon. They are rare. Enjoy your swamp mosquito. So the bonus sheet is going to be 1 card per pack, just like in the good old days, like we're used to. And I don't know if the expansion symbol will be purple because the rest of the set's purple. I don't know what's going on, but the bonus sheet will be it'll be some stuff. It'll be some stuff that they put in the set. And just like the old swamp mosquito days, you're going to love it.
Right. So what you're saying, though, is that there's even though there's only 1, bonus sheet card per pack, there are rarities within the bonus sheet cards. Is that correct?
I think maybe it was that way in Time Spiral, but also we have the list now, and the list does not seem to adhere to those rules.
Right. Well, that's at least how it worked in the past. So a history lesson. If nothing else.
One of the most important things for those of you who dredged through the waters of the intro to this cast and are here for hardcore finance, is that the foils of these time-shifted cards are going to be worth $1 billion. Can
we talk about how Corbin just went straight vertical with a bottle of Gatorade to drink it? That's not necessary. Why did you do that? That was so weird. Is that how you drink normally? My 5-year-old doesn't do that. I'm just gonna enjoy a beer. Look at me. Dude, that's weird. I'm sorry. I interrupted you, DJ. Corbin, people go to youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery and they watch this cast because I'm very photogenic. And they see your COVID neck beard and they see you doing weird Gatorade tricks. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I would come back to youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery and ring that bell icon with a finger blasting motion and and share it on social media. I don't know if I would do all that if I saw what you just did with that Gatorade. Dude, that was so distracting. I'm sorry. I'm being unprofessional.
That is good to know.
I get it. What I'm doing right now is not professional. I derailed the cast. But, like, what you did derailed my brain.
So,
understood. DJ, go ahead.
There are a few reasons for these cards being $1 billion. The first of which is that these specific slots have a higher... or a lower chance of rarity. I was going to say a higher chance of not being rare, but that's just dumb. So they have a lower chance of being foil. They have a lower chance of being foil in each pack.
Mm-hmm.
And so you will get your case of Time Spiral Remastered, and you will open it expecting to get a bunch of foil time-shifted cards. There will be fewer than you expect. And then you will have to go to the secondary market to fill your need for your cubes, your commander decks, and your legacy decks. The second reason is that this product is going to be harder to find because of just general, supply chain issues that we have had for the past year. Like, there's a reason Allosaurus Rider is still $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that, like, the cards from the past sets that end up being very, like, sought after, like the fancy Vorn Klecks and all the whatnots are very expensive. The third reason is that this set is, like, one of the few that has the power to rip existing foils out of current legacy decks.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Masterpieces can do that to an extent, but like it's hard to get somebody to pull out like their Zendikar foil Spell Pierce sometimes for like the Masterpiece Amonkhet version or whatever. Like those are hit or miss, but like people will absolutely pull out their what was the first set? M14 Young Pyromancers for these.
Yes.
Like people
and then they'll get deck checked because their foils are so curly, like anybody can see them.
Well, that's it. I think this is so silly, but I think that's a legitimate point. I think DJ's absolutely right. If I'm playing True Name Nemesis, I want this version of True Name Nemesis with the old border. But literally, if the foils look like they've looked like in some of these supplemental sets, they are not playable. I have a ton of cards from Commander Legends that are not sleeve playable. It's that bad.
I have all my Commander Legends jammed into a box so tight you can't put another piece of cardboard in there.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the only thing that could keep it back.
Here's a few things you can do. They're not super terrible inside the booster box, inside the booster packs. As soon as you open the pack, throw it in a sleeve, and if you have a top loader, throw it in a top loader. That seems to help a little bit. If you have an expensive card you would like to rescue, there's a guide on mtgprice.com about like a combination of weight and humidity that seems to fix it. It used to be cards curled from humidity, and you could fix it by desiccating them. These are called dry curled foils. You need to add a little bit of moisture. So like they're like, we don't like these humid curling foils. We hired a new person to handle all of the card stock, and like they fixed it, but they went too far the other way. So who knows, man? Wizards did this for like 10 years. They had foils that were like fine from like 98 to 2008. Like foils were cool. And then they're like, just kidding. We accidentally forgot how to knot this. Yeah. So hopefully they get it dialed in, but for right now, things are pretty dire, and I don't love that 2020 is the year of curly foils, and that's when Time Spiral Remastered was printed.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? It's a bad sitch, but if you open an expensive card that is foil,
a foil Thoughtseize,
after you pop it, throw it in a perfect fit, throw it in a sleeve, throw it in a top loader, it should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly the best thing you can do, because I hope that would really make me sad if that was something we needed to consider when it came to making a financial prediction, because I think DJ's right. Like something like Thoughtseize, an old bordered foil, if it's a good foil, it will look incredible. But if it's a Pringle They're not. No one's going to put it in their legacy.
They're
yet.
doing the star.
So
foils,
let's
right?
hope.
The old school foil shooting star.
Oh, I'm not sure.
don't
Actually,
know.
that would be pretty neat. I know that they do have the like the graveyard symbol for the flashback cards, the little tombstone.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even flashback cards. It's just any card.
It's
that
anything in the
activates
graveyard. Yeah, because
Oh,
it's on
from the
Stinkweed,
graveyard?
which
Yeah.
doesn't have flashback. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I like lingering old border lingering souls. That is cool. That is cool. If these
I would
foils
love the
look good,
graveyard. I will absolutely, if I'm going to play a Life from the Loam, which I assume is in the set, I would love the graveyard symbol on the Life from the Loam. If it's not in the set,
yeah.
why didn't you consult me? I should have a podcast that comes out after every Wizard set called "Why Didn't You Consult Me?" Hey, Wizards, just check again. You know how every year I've said Training Grounds could go in an EDH deck, and now it's $50. Why didn't you consult me? The end.
What do you all think this will do, if anything, to the prices of, say, the originals? So that's easy example for me. It's like Master of the Pearl Trident, right? Do we think that these will have a typical reprint impact, or is it going to be like sort of a like a jumpstart double masters type impact?
These are $200 booster
they rebound a
boxes,
little faster,
right? Like
Mhm.
master sets don't have quite the impact usually, and the stuff that's playable rebounds. Like if you look at all the EDH playable stuff from Iconic Masters, like that stuff went right back to where it was before. So it'll attenuate growth trajectory, and there will be like a 1-year holding period where it does like a big U shape in the graph, and then it goes right back to where it was before, and like the slope of the growth curve is lower. But like I think stuff recovers, you know. This will be closer to mystery boosters than it will be to something like a core set reprint.
There's a few certain factors with like the really, really expensive stuff.
Right.
Like Thoughtseize is like the premier example, or anything on that tier of just like old border foil being such a huge 2-digit multiplier, like a 10x or whatever. But like stuff like that can be so hard to just actually move in quantity unless you're just getting raked on it, that it can be hard to like watch it can be hard to notice an actual dip in the price, even if the price is theoretically not even
if the demand is
the price
lower,
is actually lower in sale ability.
Mhm.
Like Iconic Masters is the closest example to this, just because like it's like the original art Thoughtseize was the only other time that was printed. But like when the original art Thoughtseize comes out, the original one drops, yes, but like the quantity that are sold ends up being so few, just because there's so few of them out there, that like any change is representative of like a smaller sample size, which means it has like a higher the few that do sell has a higher impact on the price, if that makes sense.
There's more
like
RNG
on the data that is dredged,
a little more RNG to sort of the daily price movements of it.
Yeah. It's like when one library of Alexandria sells on TCG Player, and MTG Stocks ends up like, through no fault of their own, ends up being like, yeah, it's $17,000 now because one idiot lists one for $17,000. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of no fault of MTG Stocks own, this podcast is sponsored by MTG Stocks. Go to mtgstocks.com. The name of the website URL is mostly the name of the company. You type in MTG Stocks into Google. You're like, what's the website for MTG Stocks? And then you go to Google, you type in MTG Stocks. It brings up the first number one Google search result is mtgstocks.com. You click on that, and that is how my wife gets to her Gmail. Swear to God. Swear to God, she types Gmail into the Google search engine.
Well, so, there you go.
If you are like my wife and you need, like, how do I get to mtgstocks.com? Go to Google, type in mtgstocks.com into Google. It'll take you to mtgstocks.com. And once you're there, wow, what a plethora of information. Corbin makes 100% of his picks of the week from it. He relies so heavily on mtgstocks.com for his picks of the week, which he is the third best at on this podcast. Second best. What do you mean one? I crushed you.
Last
second
year.
best on
Year
this
before.
podcast.
Not the year
because
before.
we didn't count DJ's 9,000% growth on Dual Lands. He goes to mtgstocks.com so much that like, wow, this guy is 14% of all of our traffic.
I'm going to be honest.
Sponsor his podcast. But you know what? Corbin is the second best at picks of the week on this podcast on the basis of going to mtgstocks.com, seeing what is trending. It's useful enough that Corbin can pretend he's good at this. You could pretend to be good at this too. mtgstocks.com. That was word for word the ad copy they sent us. I was like, I'll read it, but like,
What are you talking about my wife in this ad copy for? It's weird.
it seems really unprofessional. MTG Stocks. They're like, we fed an algorithm 500 episodes of BrainstormBrewery.com.
Well,
Never be lonely at Farmers Only.
well,
We even cut out the tennis playing children part. Just
there you go. I do use MTG stocks almost every day because I love looking at the cards that are growing 2 or 3%, because those are the ones that are going to spike later on, and that is what we use very often when we are playing the next game, everyone's favorite Breaking Bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Speaking of 2%, I've got a card that's been going up 2% for like the last 5 years.
Okay.
And it has gotten exactly one reprint since it was originally put in Judgment as a common, as a blue common.
Is it Careful
I have no
Study?
clue what's in Judgment.
It is not.
Is
It's
it
a blue common from Judgment with one reprint.
Is it a creature?
No.
A blue Judgment. Is that Days is from Nemesis, right?
Days is
Correct.
not from...
Judgment is the set with the scales.
It's the scales. That's Judgment.
Yeah, I'm thinking it through.
And it's not Careful Study.
I don't think I'm going to get this one.
Is it the Read the Runes thing?
Nope.
Careful
I may or
Study
may
is
not
Judgment,
pick this.
isn't
I
it?
may or
I'm
may not
thinking
pick this card, but I don't know the set well
No,
enough,
Careful
so.
Study is the dude bent over the book looking at it. I'm thinking the dude pulling scrolls off the wall. What's that?
I cannot reliably tell you what this
Well, it's
art
not
is.
this card then. If
It's got it's got a cephalid in it. It's called Keep Watch.
Oh,
It is a
okay. I
3
legitimately did not know this was a pick. I know this card,
It's
but
a-
I didn't know it was a pick. Wow.
It's a 3-mana blue instant that says draw a card for each attacking creature. It does not say draw a card for each attacking creature you control or your opponents control. It is flexible in that vein. Locust God players are very familiar with this card. Because it just doubles all the locusts you have. It's just very strong. But like
That doesn't make sense flavor-wise. Like, how's it going on the parapets there? Are you keeping watch? Yeah, our guys left. I don't see them anymore. They're attacking. How many were there? I don't know. Draw a bunch. All right. I have no information. They're lost in the fog of war over there. I'm keeping watch. No one's attacking. It's not their turn.
It is an interesting card.
Keeping watch. It's an easy job. When our guys are attacking, they're laying siege to another castle over there, and I'm just here like, oh, I got the cushy job. I have bone spurs, so I don't have to participate in the raid. I get to stay here on defense and keep watch.
no
I
one's
told
gonna
him I
come
was
near
something
us with a
sick.
no one's gonna come near us with a black point giant fluffy hats and a sticks with bayonets on them.
Right?
Well, at least you get to draw some cards. So, a person on the parapet's doing
Keep
all right.
watch sounds like a card that will increase your creature's toughness.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
I have kept
Draw a
watch
card
of this
for each
card.
untapped creature you control. That's keep watch. Ooh,
It
I'm
is-
so
it
mad
is-
at whatever flavor person in 2006 decided to. No, not
It
even. It
has-
was like 2002, right? Judgment.
Not a clue.
It has slowly crept up from the 17 cents in 2016 to the now 50 cents in 2021. The Plane Chase version is worth more because there are probably fewer Plane Chase versions than the Judgment version, and because it has the newer border. Contrary to what everybody circle jerking on Twitter says, the new border tends to be more popular when it comes to selling Magic cards.
Right.
Yeah. Contrary to everyone just foaming at the mouth over the old border on Commander Legends. I have no opinion. I don't care about the border. It doesn't matter to me. But I do like selling the Plane Chase version of Keep Watch for $1.50 and this one for 50 cents.
That's
DJ
a great
doesn't
breaking bolt.
care about the border.
I'm going to come in with a set from much newer than that. I have a black uncommon from Core Set 2020.
And based on your question before the cast, this is some weird set.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I drafted this card on Arena, so I don't know if that means it's in draft boosters or not because I obviously wasn't buying a lot of Core Set.
2020 may have been before set boosters?
I think this card's legitimately in the set, but I mean, it is $1.50. I'll tell you that. It's a black uncommon.
Newer set stump, older set stump you, like brand new set stump me because
that's why I always like these new ones.
Ugh.
Jason,
is it one of the color hate cards? Is it like
no.
noxious whatever?
No,
a creature.
It is a creature.
Corset 2020 was the Omnath set.
There were
maybe
the Elementals one.
That might have been M19. I honestly don't remember. Time is meaningless in the pandemic. You could tell me that.
What happened in 2020 is a lost year to me.
Yeah.
I didn't go outside.
2019.
The set would have come out in 2019.
The set was 2019. This set came out like right before Indie.
I think that this was the Risen Reef Omnath set. Yes. This card, however, is not an elemental. This card is a vampire.
So I remember Sorin Imperious Bloodlord was, or like the 3-mana sword was in that set.
I don't think you're all going to get it. I mean, if you didn't get it off of that, you're not going to get it. No. The card is Vampire of the Dire Moon. It's a 1/1 vampire that has Death Touch and Lifelink. That's it.
Wow. How many mana is it?
It's 1 mana, 1/1, Death Touch, Lifelink. Vampire of the Dire Moon, $1.50.
I have never seen this card before in my life.
So, to review, Wandering Ones is printed at common as a 1/1 with no abilities for 1 mana. And we're printing 1/1s with 2 keyword abilities and a relevant creature type.
Yeah.
Champions of Kamigawa, leave Champions of Kamigawa alone. It is the Britney Spears. It is the Britney Spears.
It was before its time. Man.
Well, Vampire of the Dire Moon is $1.50. It's very powerful. It's kind of a Vampire Nighthawk situation, right? That card was with yes, and it was more. Vampire Nighthawk was worth money forever because it had Death Touch and Lifelink, right? That was huge, and at the time that was sort of revolutionary.
A 2/3 flyer.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was obviously
Listen, I know how people are building vampire decks in EDH. I 100% understand that. Like they're playing. Every time you play a vampire, get a 1/1 token. And
yeah, that's right.
This one has Death Touch. I get it.
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah, it's a very good one. All right, Jason, what do you got?
This isn't necessarily a commander card. This is I need 4 to play on turn 1. I build my deck as a 60-card unsleeved casual deck that curves out vampires.
Yeah, but also I've toyed with this in sideboards and sort of and you maybe wouldn't want it now as the card pool's expanded, but I certainly mess around with this card in sideboards and Historic for a while because it is very good against aggro decks, right? It'll trade with anything while gaining you life if you get a poke through. I mean, it ended up not being good enough for anything, but it has the right abilities to be a card. So, I mean, yeah, it's going in all kinds of different places, and sometimes it brings 1/1 token with it.
Speaking of the bonus sheet, I have a Time Spiral block pick. Future Sight. Blue, common.
Future Sight, blue, common. Okay, so this aside, I remember like years ago we created the banned set list. Years ago we said Lorwyn banned, Morningtide banned, Time Spiral, etc. banned, and then like. Ever since then, half the time when we pick cards from these sets, we have no idea what the hell they are because everything from this set is so expensive. So, I don't think they're banned sets anymore. Every card from this set is expensive, and there are still cards from the sets that we don't know.
The Sixth Pride is work. I will tell you that this is a future shifted weird border blue common. Does that help you?
Has the card been reprinted in a future set?
Sure has not.
So I was gonna say the little homunculus guy, but
That's actually what I was thinking too. I was trying to I don't remember the name of that card
bonded
though.
homunculus.
Bonded, yeah.
Blue common future shifted.
It's not bonded homunculus, then I would assume.
It's reality acid was time spiral.
Reality Acid's not a creature?
Yeah,
and that was planar chaos. So your Reality Acid's a very
wrong on a lot of
that
levels.
was planar chaos.
I'm
just
we're in the block.
If you
We're in the
scrutinize
block.
the things I said when I was brainstorming,
I'm not scrutinizing the things you said when.
no,
we're in the right
that's what
block
I'm saying.
here.
It's unfair to do it to you, and that's why it's funny because I'm being a hypocrite.
I mean, I'll concede this one. I did not do very well this week.
Vedalken
I don't know what it is.
has wizard cycling.
Oh,
yep,
I knew
yep,
this. I mean, I
yep,
know this card. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, sure you did. That's why you didn't.
And it also randomly bounces a sliver when it comes into play. Like,
yeah, return target sliver to its owner's hand. Could be your sliver, could be their sliver.
this
when
is perfect for that mono blue changeling commander.
Yeah.
To as anti-tech for that. That's the only reason.
Sure. You can bounce you can cycle for any wizard, which is any creature, and you can bounce any creature. So like they knew back in 2006 that people would build changeling decks. They just knew it. So good for them. Vedalken Aether Mage is a wizard. It has wizard cycling. Guess what we're getting? Strixhaven. Is there going to be a wizard tribal deck in EDH on the basis of Strixhaven? And it's 5 commander precons? Abso-goddamn-lutely not. No, 0% chance. Was there a Lovisa Cold Eyes deck that emerged from Kaldheim? Like, oh, Berserkers and Barbarians. No, didn't happen. Okay, there's a 1% chance. Like, look, I don't want to have this clipped out and played to me ad nauseum. I'm like, well, actually, blah, blah, blah. The green-black dragon made a blue-black wizard deck. Who cares, right? There's going to be one card in one of these stupid precons. There's going to be one Dockside Extortionist. Maybe it's a mono-blue wizard, and it goes in Corbin's stupid, lazy Azami deck, right? And, like, so there's a 1% chance of that happening. But mostly all the stuff that's going to go up on the basis of being wizard is going to go up the same way Bitter Blossom went up when people heard Fairy Tale and wizards hadn't even gotten the T out of their mouth. And people were like, fairies, Bitter Blossom, boom! Ship it.
Yeah, I mean...
And then Bitter Blossom peaked at 55, went to 30. So if you bought at 50, hoping to get 70, I got bad news. You had to wait a year and a half for it to get back up to what you paid for it.
Oh, so, if people bought... No. If people bought Bitter Blossom at 50, wanting it to go to 70, I would say you've got bad news. There's a pandemic coming. It's in 2021. In like 3 months.
Everyone got those stimmy checks, and they're like, oh, Bitter Blossom's not played in anything. I'll buy something else.
I mean, Bitter Blossom has actually gone back up in price, which is shocking.
It did, but it cratered hard after the initials. Like, oh, fairy, oh, and even like there was Alela, like there was stuff that was making fairy tokens, and still, Bitter Blossom didn't do shit. Look, we're not saying that any of these wizards are going to do anything. We are saying that these wizards are wizards, and people who don't really understand what's going on are going to buy them the same way they bought Lovisa Cold Eyes. This is the perfect segue into a planned segment. This is why I went last on Breaking Bulk. Let's talk about wizards. All right, look. Strixhaven is the fantastic specs and where to find them set, right? Like, I don't know whether a wizard's deck is going to materialize on the basis of this any more than a human's deck materialized on the basis of Dominaria, because there are lots of humans in that set, right? Mm-hmm. Look, there are going to be creatures that are wizards. Is there going to be a wizard tribal thing? Maybe, maybe not. But the same way people buy stuff lazily, the same reason people bought Waiting in the Weeds when there was a cat commander announced, people are going to buy wizards. There are a few that I think have popped already, like Sigil Tracer. I think Sigil Tracer, it's a little too late. And there are some other ones like Patron Wizard and Vedalken Aether Mage I mentioned. I think you pull those out of bulk. You pull your Phaedo Alchemists out of bulk. You pull any of that stuff. Just go to EDH Rec and type in Azami or Kaza, K-A-Z-A. Is that pronounced Kaza? That's the site where you went to go get a Linkin Park song and got a computer virus, right, Kaza?
It is, yes.
Kaza, Kaza, however you pronounce. It's like, oh, it's Kaza, and you live in Kalamazoo. I'm surprised you don't. It's actually Garuk. Those people, whatever. Kaza, go to that deck, go to Azami, go to Anala. Look at the Dumb Wizards tribal stuff. I think the only one that I'm really excited about right now is Riptide Director. Riptide Director is a card from the shield with spears sticking out of it, expansion symbol, whatever that was. Legions. Riptide Director, you pay 4 mana and tap it, draw a card for each wizard you control. Dog, terrible card. Went from 50 cents to $4 in 2017 on the basis of Wizard Tribal. This is a waiting in the weeds. Here's the deal. It went right back down to 75 cents midway through last year, and now it's back up. Oh, $2.50. Oh, it's back down to like $1. These are gettable at $1 on basically every retailer, even Card Kingdom. Even Card Kingdom's charging like $1 on these. They're garbage. Here's the thing. When a card spikes for no reason, people go into their LGS, they're like, hey, where's your Legions binder? Oh, Riptide Director is $0.25. I'll take 7 of them. And then they go and they buy list them for 75 cents or whatever to channel Fireball, or whomever is paying the most at a Grand Prix. Maybe it's 95 MTG. But you got to deal with DJ, so don't do that. They buy list to whomever. Maybe it's Card Kingdom. Who cares? The point is they buy list them, and the 75% copies are gone forever. So when the card spikes again for no reason, no one can go to their LGS because the LGS is cleaned out. So anytime a card spikes a second time, the price spikes harder and faster because there are no loose, cheap copies just like to be ferreted out. All the stuff has been pulled out. It's concentrated in the hands of dealers. They control the price now, and nobody can go anywhere else to get them. So I think if Riptide Director does get some notice on the basis of draw a card for each wizard, Strixhaven, I think this is a card that goes beyond $4. And I'm not saying buy at $4 because it's going to go to $7, because maybe it goes to $7 for a day. I'm saying buy them now at $1. When it goes to $7, you buy list them for $3 and you triple up, and then you're not holding on to them, waiting for them to print another Wizards tribal set in a couple years. So, it's similar to DJ saying Lovisa Cold Eyes a month before Kaldheim. It's
right.
Not because Riptide Director is good in a Wizards deck, or that Strixhaven is going to give us a Wizard deck, because it's probably not, and it probably won't. But people who are focusing on Time Spiral Remastered previews right now and haven't even thought about Strixhaven yet are going to, in a couple of weeks, be like, yeah, what about Wizards, man? And you want to have the cards to sell to those people. You don't want to buy at the same time as them. You want to have already bought, and you want to be selling to them for 3 or 4 times what you paid, or buy listing to the stores that are trying to sell them for $7 to these dupes.
So at risk of adding in one too many DJ stories from when he was 15, Patron Wizard is one of my favorite cards. Just casual. It's always in the back of my mind.
Patron, actually.
Well, and that's the thing is, I had a friend of mine 10 years ago at the old LGS I visited who had a Legacy Wizards tribal deck.
Nice.
And this was, this was 2010 Legacy for those of you who are aware of what that looked like. And every time we had small 7 or 8 person Legacy events for those of us who could scrape decks together and borrow cards or whatever. And he had a set of Patron Wizards that were altered, and each of them had a bottle of tequila. And the wizard was just looking at it, and every time I would just think of him beating competitive that. This was back when Delver first came out in Warped Legacy, and he would every now and again just wreck people with tribal wizards. And they would not understand that Patron Wizard can just do that, and it was just a fun time. But I would not recommend, to add a little finance tip at the end, I would not recommend buying Patron Wizard at 10, because it is significantly harder to make those kinds of returns compared to Riptide Boy. You're buying at 10
I think
and
Patron
gambling
Wizard
on being able to get for 12 or 13.
Patron Wizard has never been below 10 since 2017. It's never dipped below $10. So like, I think 10 is actually the floor. If you would rather buy Riptide Director, fine. But like, I don't hate Patron Wizard at 10. I really don't.
I've got a good one for pick of the week here in a little bit. That's in the same vein.
Oh, did I just do my pick of the week? Riptide Director was my pick of the week. So
well, you're ahead of the
later.
Curve. We'll get to ours in a bit here. DJ, do you want to? We've got an email or two. Let's get to an email.
Sure, absolutely. This one is from Chris Brown, which is a
pseudonym.
Unfortunate name at some point.
Curse name. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Better than Harold, though.
Would you rather be a famous wife beater or just a guy that we specifically chose to make fun of?
Sorry, buddy. Wait, is this person a patron? We got to take all that back.
I am not. I read the emails authentically. I don't screen these.
Yeah, good.
I don't know whether they're a patron or not. It's a surprise to all of us.
But if you did want to guarantee we read your email, go to patreon.com/BSB, give us money, and then write the email and tell us how much money we give you, how urgently we read your email. Shouldn't depend on that, but absolutely does.
DJ, go ahead.
Hey guys, so I have a bunch of original Zendikar expeditions, and they're either sitting in a binder or EDH decks. We know fetch lands are getting reprinted soon, so I can just rebuy those at the bottom. Also, with collector boosters and these new pseudo masterpieces and all the alt art secret layers being printed, my faith in premium cards retaining value is weak. That is fair. I was thinking about selling the most of the expos and just buying a few revised duels or FBB duels. I'm a little unsure given the recent reserve list spikes. I am not expecting another spike necessarily, but it seems like it could be a good idea. Thoughts? Pros, cons? Thanks and keep up the fun. P.S. Jason should do a review of a beer every time you do a set review, or you guys could do a pick of the week for beer. LOL.
That's a good idea.
That's a great.
I would love. That's a great suggestion.
We have this terrible name for a podcast that makes no sense. Why don't we steer into it? We have beer glasses. We have flasks. Why not pretend that we picked this name on purpose?
Well, Chris, I actually am in kind of a similar boat where I have a ton of original Zendikar expeditions because I loved them and just traded for everyone I could find. But what's interesting is one of the cards I'd been tracking recently was the original expedition of Stomping Ground. And you might not know this, but that card has hard spiked in the past 2 months. This even after we had another run of expeditions.
It's because of all the bandings in Modern, like red-green decks have sort of like emerged. So that's.
I mean, yeah, but no one's playing Modern in paper, right? So it's interesting that it shows that the expeditions, the original ones, are not necessarily destroyed by the newer ones. Although, we look here at something like the Expedition Scalding Tarn. That hit that had a high of about $310, and now it's more like $250. So there is something to be concerned about there. So I think if you don't particularly care about the expeditions, it is very, very clear that Zendikar expeditions are the norm moving forward, not the exception. And therefore, it makes sense that any individual one that was already at a very high price is likely to fall down. So I'm with you in that. I've thought a lot about what to do with my own, and I haven't come to a conclusion yet. So I think there's some interesting data both ways, but in general, I think that it's probably a good idea to sell them because we got nothing but masterpieces now, right? So it's just highly unlikely that you're going to see one card dominate all the demand.
I also
in
think
terms of the printings.
Sorry, I also think that you can selling them. There's two parts to this. You can sell them, but you don't necessarily have to trade them in for duels or buy duels with it. You can run the numbers yourself. I always love to talk about just like it's not fun or sexy, but just like setting up the equation and just running the actual numbers yourself instead of gut feeling. Like plug it into Card Kingdom or TCG or what have you. Spend half an hour to an hour just figuring out the exact return and the exact amount you'd make. But that's not a just like either or option of like, oh, do I sell them and get duels, or do I just not sell them? You can just sell them and get money, and then use that money to either buy collections later, or just like when you see a spec you really like, you go in on it. There's like having that just raw cash, I think, is very underestimated and not thought of as often in the community when you're considering exchange your green cardboard for other cardboard. Like, just having raw money is a very powerful option. Like, I don't think expeditions for duels is bad, don't get me wrong, but like it's not like a false dichotomy, I guess. Like, there's a third option there, and it's just like getting money.
Yeah, that's a great point, which you can then use to, and there's nothing wrong. I think sometimes people can get so caught up in the value grind, of which I'm sure we contribute to. But hey, if you just want to cash in some of the gains you've made on those cards and use that money to buy a Time Spiral Remastered box to draft with your friends after the pandemic, nothing wrong with that, and you should never feel guilty about that. All right, do we have a second email we want to get to? We don't need to, but yeah.
Oh, we do. We absolutely do. This is from Tapped and Ready 2021 sealed product. I look forward to your weekly VODs on YouTube. Thank you. That means so much more than you think it does. Having our content described as weekly VODs on YouTube when we have been a primarily podcast medium for closing in on a decade is super awesome. It's really cool to hear that people are finding the content via ways that are not just the audio podcast. So thank you so much for that, and we appreciate it. I laugh so hard at the way you quote discuss topics. I will take that as a compliment. And great fun, informative MTG finance discussion. That is exactly what we go for. Here's my question: does anyone on the Brew Crew put away sealed product, older, new stuff? What and why?
Yes, because I buy too much, and then I don't want to crack all of it. Because like I open a bunch of it, I'm like, oh, I lost money on this box, and then I put it away. I have so many collector booster boxes just I'm sitting on, and then I'm like, that seems like a great idea, right? Like,
yeah.
I sold collector booster boxes of Commander Legends as they were plummeting. Like, I got like 250 on eBay as they were going to like 190, and I was like, aha, another like 300. So like, I kind of felt like this guy's going to see how much they've plummeted and demand a refund from eBay. And then when the money cleared, I was like, I got him. And then like 3 weeks later, it was more than he paid. So you can open these boxes and get a bunch of curly foils, or you can just like sit on them and let somebody else deal with the curly foils in 3 years. So like, I buy stuff by the case because like I get a good price on it. So I buy by the case, but like I don't need to bust a ton of it. So sitting on it makes sense, but I think I'm accidentally doing a good job because like I don't think collector boosters are going to last forever because they're a really weird like first world thing, and I kind of feel like they're going to stop doing them soon. So I kind of feel like having collector boosters later will be a good thing. So I guess I'm accidentally sitting on some sealed product, but like I'm absolutely doing it.
I would say that this is a really interesting question in the historical context, because when I first got into Magic and, Magic Finance, whatever, 2008, 2009, putting back sealed product was kind of like the gold standard.
Yeah, it was just like buying bonds.
Yeah, it was great. And then we hit Return to Ravnica, and they started printing the heck out of everything. And it became, sealed product is bad. It's terrible. It's not good returns anymore. But now we're in a world where I'm looking at Dominaria, a very popular modern set, certainly, right? That's only 3 years ago or something it came out, and the booster boxes are $180 to $200. So essentially a double up in 3-ish years, maybe 4 years, right? However long it's been. So that to me was just very interesting, because the conventional wisdom, so to speak, has changed so much. And I'll tell you, I recently found sort of my own stash of boxes from back in the day, and I have like an Avacyn Restored box and some other stuff. And those are some truly insane prices. So I think it's really difficult to sort of pinpoint which sealed product you want to get in on. Is it a booster box of Zendikar Rising? Is it a collector booster box? Is it Commander Legends? I've got a case of that across the room I plan on holding for a long time. I don't, is it master sets? I don't know. And the thing is, you tie up so much money in that, think we talk about, DJ just spoke about the value of cash. And we use that when we're talking about $5-10 specs. I mean, if you decide to hold on to a booster box, you're into it for $100 right up front. And sure, I mean, you're going to get to open it later. It's sort of a safer place. It's a, has a pretty decent baseline to park your money into, but you're parking a lot of money into it if you're keeping back one booster box from every set. So I guess it kind of depends on your goals. If you want the really long-term sort of, potential of those boxes and can tie up $1,000 to keep 10 boxes in your garage, then great. I think it's not as bad as maybe it used to be seen as, but I don't know that I would advocate just letting that much money just sit in so few products that have, kind of Dominaria did great and other ones have done great, but some of them don't do so well. So it's kind of a crapshoot.
Like it's very hit or miss over the past few years. For personal experience, I bought a very large sealed collection roughly 2 years ago, and I have been piecing it out slowly on eBay and Facebook and other mediums over the past two-ish years. And I have learned and sort of navigated the price of a lot of these products. It went back all the way as Ice Age and all the way up to like modern day. And it's been very hit or miss. Like there are some things like
Ixalan is the same price.
Ixalan is weird. Rivals of Ixalan is weird. Throne of Eldraine was a complete crapshoot. Dominaria was great. Like it's been all over the place. Another area where you can look at is Secret Lairs. Yeah. Like a lot of the Secret Lairs have been very, very good, but a lot of the reasons the Secret Lairs have been very good is because of arbitrage opportunities, shipping restrictions that prevent supply from getting to Europe. It's all over the place. And so my personal approach to this was to just sell it and take that capital approach where it's just I had all these boxes from all these different eras, and I decided that instead of waiting on the return or the gambling on the return, even if some of it was near guaranteed, I would just rather have that liquid capital available. And I am almost out of sealed product. I finally got rid of the last of my Walking Dead Secret Lairs.
I know how much shield product you had after that transaction, so that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but like
it was a lot.
Okay, but like the point is that like I chose to take the approach of like selling it.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. Yeah, that illustrates the point perfectly, right? Because you could have, you bought all those boxes and you could just kept them in your basement.
Yeah, like I think I sold the Ice Age box for like $650, and it's probably $900 or over $1,000 at this point. Like, but like I sold it 2 years ago, and then I used that money to do other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this leads perfectly into what we're going to talk about next, which is our pick of the week.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Let's figure out where we think you should park a little bit of money. And I'll go first. Jason name dropped this card earlier. It's a card I have played quite a bit, and I looked it up on EDA Trek, and I was shocked to see in how few Commander decks Sigil Tracer is in right now. It's only in 1,000 decks, 0%. It rounds out to, but Sigil Tracer has actually risen.
Because EDH Rec is only displaying decks from the last 2 years, and everybody built their Sigil Tracer decks in 2017, which was 4 years ago.
Yeah, there you go. Good data to know. So, so Sigil Tracer is about $5. It's been climbing from about $4.50 to $5 over the past month. And this card, if you don't know, it's 3 mana, 2/2 Merfolk Wizard, 2 blue, tap 2 untapped wizards you control. So you do not have to tap the Sigil Tracer with a tap symbol, right? That means it's not affected by summoning sickness. All you need is 2 mana, a Sigil Tracer, and 2 untapped wizards. Doesn't have to include itself. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. This is one of those graphs that kind of hits on everything we've talked about. It spiked to $10 3-4 years ago, which Jason is talking about. And it's been forgotten since then, but it bottomed out at $4.50 and it's climbed back up to about $5. And I see no reason why Strixhaven won't push this thing to 8 or 10 again. So I'm all about Sigil Tracer, and not just because it's a Merfolk.
100% because it's a Merfolk.
But partly because it's a Merfolk.
Partly, yeah, of course. Jason, do you want to go ahead and touch on it? You talked about it earlier, but go ahead and give the pitch here for Riptide Director.
But I like Riptide Director.
Fair enough. All right, DJ, finish it off.
Well, Jason picked a wizard. Corbin picked a merfolk wizard. I will finish the branch, and I will pick just a merfolk.
Okay,
Actually,
great.
it's not just a merfolk. It's a human merfolk. Yeah, Vorl of the Hellclade. The only thing that can be a human merfolk is a Simic card. I am picking this partially not because it's a wizard, but because I think that Wizards of the Coast design philosophy regarding Simic has been just put +1/+1 counters on it, and I think that's a very likely direction they may go with the what is it, Quandrix? I think
I don't know.
the
school.
Yeah,
I only know Lorehold is red-white. That's all I know.
I know Silverquill is black-white.
Black-white.
Sliver.
Okay, but,
is it Silverquill or Sliverquill?
I think it's Silverquill.
Silver.
They're both dumb names.
They are interesting names, I'll say that.
Vorola Hellclade has actually climbed on its market price over the past several months or so. It's not a big climb. It used to be a bulk rare. It's always just hung out my bulk rare bin, but it has crested $1.50 recently, and it's the kind of card that even though it's gotten a couple reprints, its reprints have been very weird. It was in the Ravnica Guild kit, it was in the Commander Anthology Volume 2 based on being in the C16 deck, and when people cracked that C16 deck, it was a deck where they pulled for a bunch of really cool cards, and Voro was not one of them at the time, so it went into bulk rare bins. And this is just a card that, again, Simic has a lot of competition, don't get me wrong, but having a lot of competition doesn't necessarily mean that this won't creep to like $3 or $4 over the next 6 months.
That's an interesting one. I bet I also have some of these sitting in my bulk aisle.
Yeah, I think this is along the lines of like Pure and Toothy. There's a lot of just like Master Biomancer. Like there's a lot of just like Simic thing that puts counters on things, and a lot of them just hang out at $3 or $4. Because people like variety, and people don't necessarily see the same cards when they're filtering, when they're doing their Google searches, when they're pulling stuff on Amazon. It's just another one of those like $3 Simic cards that puts counters on things, and I think that's where this guy's family is.
All right, that's great. Well, last thing we want to talk about tonight is, of course, what to do if you have somebody in your life, whether it's you, whether it's your friends, whether it is your play group, who really, really likes the Magic art and wants some more of it in their life. And that is why we are big supporters of originalmagicart.store. We don't have anyone sponsor this podcast who we don't think is worth it. And originalmagicart.store does an incredible job of not just using the promo code BrewCrew to get a discount when you buy something, but also to put that money back out into the community and to the artists who we know make up such a large part of this community. And especially in a world where there aren't live events for artists to go and set up booths and do signatures and all that sort of stuff, I think now it's more important than ever to go to originalmagicart.store, and you can support artists. You can get playmats, you can get prints, you can get the newest art as it comes out, you can get in on the pre-orders. They have pretty much anything you would want, and you can always use the promo code BrewCrew when you check out if you want to support this podcast as well. Well, so everybody... go ahead, DJ.
No. You can't just end such a beautiful website's promo like that. You did it a disgrace. So I've talked about a lot of weird things on this podcast tonight. I've talked about Soul Calibur. I've talked about game design. I've talked about Dark Souls. I've talked about that weird guy who had patron wizards. But one of my other passions is website efficiency. I like going to a website and being able to navigate it cleanly, effectively. I like fast load times. I like being able to get to what I want quickly. And Original Magic Art has that. I can go to the website, I am on it right now, and then with a flick of my wrist, I can hover over the specific artist that I want. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to have to type. You don't want to have to move both of your hands to the keyboard and then look up how to spell the artist's name because they live in Germany. I can just flick my wrist over, bam. I have to scroll so far down this artist page page, which is a little bit of effort on my index finger, I'm not gonna lie, but there's so many artists to look at. You got Jim Nelson, you got James Arnold, you got Eric Deschamps, who did every Planeswalker ever. You got a lot of these who I'm not gonna disgrace their name by mispronouncing. And I'm gonna click on one of my recent favorites, Anna Steinbauer. She did a lot of the cool unstable tokens. She's done a lot of Planeswalkers recently. She did the Visa Cold Eyes art for the dual deck that I really loved. She's done Will and Kenrith in like 17 different poses. That's cool. And you can click and buy so many of these prints. They're cheap. They're $20. Go buy it. I learned, and if you're wondering, how did I learn how to do these beautiful pitches? Jason Alt was my sensei. I learned from the best.
I gotta say,
that was really
very
terrible.
good pitch.
That
No.
was an embarrassment.
I thought that one was great. It's almost as that was good. That was I don't know if I'd put it on the supercuts of Jason ad pitches, but it was very good, and I liked it. So very, very nicely done, DJ. Well, anything else you all want to touch on before we get out of here this week? All right, that's silent.
If you open a Russian foil young pyromancer, please go to twitter.com, search at Ristic Studies, and send it to him in registered next day shipping mail, because he needs it more than you know.
Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. Cryptic, but you should check out Ristic Studies always, so can't argue with that. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. For Jason and DJ, I'm Corbin Hostler. We'll see you next week.